players have for us. So there
Wyatt.
you see Andrew Davis on the right playing Esper Control. He leads with the Plains. Wyatt, tapped Watery Grave is going to be the start. We're in for a long one here, I think. I think this is going to be a slow game. Unless Wyatt gets out to a really fast start, going to do Thought Erasure on turn 2, but Andrew says no. Main deck Negate.
Jesus, Spellbook Negate. I love it.
Yeah, really nice Negate.
Have you been watching Darby stream this at all?
I have, and I've played it a little bit as well. Doing impressive work on this deck. Has some real hits, especially some new hits from Ravnica Allegiance in this deck. There you see Discovery Dispersal. Wyatt just going to play a land tap, pass it back to Andrew Davis, plays an untapped land, going back to Wyatt.
Yeah, Hero Precinct 1 is the real driving factor behind this deck. You see a lot of multicolored cards that people would otherwise not normally be playing.
And look at this. Wyatt casts a second Thought Erasure, gets negated for the second time. Only 2 negates in Andrew's deck, by the way. Wyatt has the third Thought Erasure, and finally gets a look at what's going on over in Andrew's hand.
Now you get to strip Teferi, leave Andrew with a bunch of semi-useless removal spells.
Just removal spells, yeah. Let's see what Wyatt's going to do, because he is a creature-based deck. He's got some big creatures in his hand right now, the type that need to be double Moment of Craven. But there we see a Thought Erasure off the top, and it's going to see what's up. 2 Seraph of the Scales, 1 Lyra Dawnbringer, and a land in Wyatt Darby's hand. Big threats there, but that Thought Erasure means that Andrew missed his 4th land. Not where you want to be as the Esper Control deck.
Not where you want to be, but there's really nothing he could be doing with it anyway.
Okay.
So I think as long as you're just drawing ways to make it so Darby's not pressuring you, then you're just completely fine.
Right.
But it is tough with Seraph of the Scales, given the Afterlife 2.
Right. So Andrew got to Surveil, was able to keep a land on top of his deck. Let's see what he wants to do about Wyatt, Seraph of the Scales. I think he may just be taking a few hits from this. Yeah, and he did pass the turn back to Wyatt. Wyatt getting in there with Seraph, going to do 4 damage, unless Andrew wants to spend some spells removing it from the battlefield. Let's see. Looks like he had a thought about Moment of Craving. Ultimately, I think it's going to be passed on.
Yeah, it's a weird spot. Wyatt has 2 more creatures in his hand, knows that Andrew Davis has the Kaya's Wrath.
Right. Going to put Andrew to the test here with Basilica Bellhaunt. Seems like Wyatt almost daring Andrew. Go ahead, wrath me.
Right. Has Lyra as a follow-up. You're going to get the 2 spirits off of Seraph, and then Andrew will be left with a Moment of Craving.
Right. Seems like a fine position to be in. And here we see the Kaya's Wrath. Wyatt obviously knew this was coming. Going to be able to put 2 1/1 flying spirit tokens into play. There we see Jadine Compliance entering the battlefield. Wyatt's going to untap, take his turn. Spirits rumbling in for 2 damage. Andrew falls to 14. And Wyatt plays the big Lyra Dawnbringer. Let's see if Andrew found an answer. He did a second copy of Kaya's Wrath, and now this game has dramatically changed.
I think Wyatt navigated this game incredibly well to get into a situation where,
Agree.
Unless Andrew has a second Kaya's Wrath, we're good. And Andrew had it.
So Wyatt found a very nice next play, though, in Hero of Precinct 1, followed up by the 4th Thought Erasure.
Much respect for playing all 4 copies.
Right. Important card in this format, I think.
Yeah. Hydroid Crassus.
Right. And a fine follow-up from Wyatt as well in the form of Basilica Bellhaunt, putting another token onto the battlefield. There we see the Max Brown human token, one of my favorite tokens of all time, my good friend Max Brown, entering the battlefield. Wyatt not done with the follow-ups. Here we see Dovin, Grand Arbiter. That's going to produce tokens for the rest of the game.
Big fan of Andrew playing the lands out of his hand so he doesn't get hit with Basilica Bellhaunt.
Right.
But this is getting kind of out of control for Wyatt, and we may actually see just a Dovin ultimate here.
Wow. I don't think I've seen a Dovin ultimate ever, to be honest with you. No, we're not going to see it.
No, let him do it.
No, not happening. Andrew has had enough picking up his cards. Going to move on to game 2 here with Wyatt Darby up exactly 1 game. It looks like we're a little bit into this one. Just turn 1 here. We're seeing a duress from Wyatt Darby looking at Andrew Davis's hand. Looks like a choice of Mortify. What's the flip card here? Argul's Bloodfast?
Yeah, there's an Argul's Bloodfast in the sideboard. 2 Search for Azcana's main.
Okay. Tough to make out what it is. I think it's Search.
It's Search.
Yeah.
I see that blue box checked.
Right. That's what I was going on as well. So Andrew going to take the turn back here. Plays a land, says go. Wyatt Darby, untaps, draws. Here's a Glacial Fortress, followed by Thought Erasure, looking to do some damage to that hand. Double Thief of Sanity, Chemist's Insight, Lyra Dawnbringer. Mortify. Andrew kind of changing his tone in the post-board games, looking a little bit more mid-range-ish here.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you end up with these transformational sideboard plans in these control decks a lot of times, even though it's so common now that your opponents will know about it. But Thief of Sanity, if unchecked, is just so incredibly powerful in these sort of mid-rangey and control mirrors that it's still worth it.
Right, I like the shift from Andrew Davis. I think it's going to help him. Going super long against Wyatt's deck, you saw the problem with that, but what's not going to help him is missing his third land drop, which he has done, and Wyatt getting to play the first Thief of Sanity. Andrew does find his third land. Very important there. He would have fallen too far behind in this game had he not had it. I think we're going to see a Thief of Sanity of his own on Andrew's side.
This is a game of limited here.
Yeah.
Play my Windrake, hopefully block.
Oh, no, we have a Deputy of Detention dealing with that Thief. Wyatt, of course, has another one. Wyatt's always got it. He's a Pro Tour champion. You don't become a Pro Tour champion by not always having it. You know, Jerry Thompson.
Oh, I never had it.
You always have it.
Yeah.
Wyatt considering his options here. It is going to be another Thief of Sanity followed by, looks like a tapped Godless Shrine. Passes the turn back to Andrew Davis. And Andrew has the Mortify for the Thief of Sanity. Deputy of Detention starting to get in there for one. What does Wyatt have as a follow-up here? Looks like we have a hero in hand as well as a way to generate tokens immediately with Discovery Dispersal. Possibly another Thought Erasure in hand?
Wyatt does always have it.
Here's hero, here's another Thought Erasure. I mean, this is like one of the best cards in the matchup, and Wyatt just continues to draw all of them. Very fortunate.
Certainly helps when they come with a hero also.
Right. So Wyatt looks like he took away the Thief of Sanity there. Kept a card on top from the Surveil. We'll see what that is next turn. Here's another Thief of Sanity. These guys both always have it, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is a wild game, but whoever connects with Thief of Sanity is just going to end up being so incredibly far ahead. You get to play this weird mini game in the early stages where you're just trying to not get hit by this 2/2.
Right. Wyatt found a nice defensive tool here in Seraph of the Scales. Even if it gets removed by, say, a Mortify, there's still going to be blockers left behind for the Thief of Sanity. And as you mentioned, incredibly important right now. Let's not forget also Wyatt with a Thief of Sanity tucked away under that Deputy of Detention. At some point, he'll be looking to find a removal spell to remove that. And here is that Mortify and Seraph of the Scales, putting two 1/1 Spirit tokens into play. What else does Andrew have to offer here?
Just biding his time until he gets to play Lyra, it looks like.
Could be.
Fire off that Chemist's Insight.
I think Wyatt just drew another Thought Erasure, by the way.
Of course he did.
So we've watched about 12 turns of this deck.
Half of them have just been Wyatt Thought Erasuring his
cast
opponent.
8 Thought Erasures.
And a Duress. Don't forget the Duress.
and a Duress. Pretty incredible stuff from Wyatt. Like I said, that's how you win Pro Tours. Always have it. Andrew did not have it this time, just passing the turn back. Wyatt tapping 4 mana. Looks like we have a second copy of Seraph of the Scales. Chemist's Insight for Andrew Davis, looking to reload a little bit here. Going to go ahead, untap, take his turn. Looks like a Vraska's Contempt off the top. One of the few clean answers to Seraph.
Yeah, these Max Brown tokens are just getting out of control, though.
Big board presence being generated by that hero.
Not a lot of ways to actually pump those tokens in Esper, but just eventually you'll start Alpha Striking once or twice, use removal spells to clear the way.
So Wyatt finds the Vraska's Contempt, uses it on the Thief of Sanity as opposed to the Deputy. Didn't want to unlock his own Thief here. What do you think about that decision?
I don't know. This also just gives him some insurance against Kaya's Wrath, too.
Both players getting a little resource low now. And Wyatt looking to get aggressive with those Max Brown tokens, sending everyone into the red zone, dealing quite a bit of damage to Andrew here.
Yeah, you just have a bunch of power on the battlefield. Your opponent's chaining Chemist's Insights together. It's time to try and end this game.
Right. 6 damage going Andrew's way. He's going to fall to 14. Andrew looking to rebuy the Chemist's Insight there, finding 2 more cards. He found another Thief of Sanity, by the way.
These Demir cards.
Powerful, powerful stuff. This Thief of Sanity certainly not representing game over or anything like that, but it's going to be an important card as this matchup drags on. But I just saw another important card. It's Eldest Reborn dealing with the Deputy of Detention. Man, is that card going to get out of hand very quickly.
That is by far one of the strongest cards in these mid-range matchups.
Yeah. I mean, you're going to see each step of this saga is going to do something equally annoying to Andrew Davis. And here we have another swing from Wyatt Darby.
I don't know that stage 2 and 3 really compare.
Look.
3 is pretty bad.
3 is where it gets a little bit out of control. So Andrew's taking his draw now, obviously falling to a precarious life total now, dealing with a Eldest Reborn. But here's a nice answer to Eldest Reborn, Teferi. One of the most powerful cards in Standard.
Absolutely.
For its entire run in the format. And here we have a Vraska's Contempt. Pushing away that Thief. Not going to be getting through anytime soon. Oh, a timely, not timely negate coming off the top of Wyatt's deck.
Oh, wow.
Would have loved to have that on Teferi turn. Now he's got to decide what he wants to do here.
I still think that's okay. I mean, maybe you can't. I guess he could Alpha and get rid of the opposing Teferi, protect the Eldest Reborn. Eldest Reborn could take the Teferi, and then you have negate to protect it. You risk getting hit with Thief of Sanity.
Right. Can you bear that cost? I think you can. And Wyatt agrees.
Ooh, this is a better attack, because this actually threatens lethal on Teferi unless you want to trade Thief with Hero, and then he also gets to keep a Spirit back.
Right. Very nice find by Wyatt. That's a Pro Tour winning attack right there. Here we have another Thought Erasure. Going to get negated. Just efficient use of negate there. Don't give your opponent any information you don't have to.
Now, is there anything better for Wyatt to get back than Teferi?
Well, he's not going to have the opportunity now, right? Teferi's going to stick on the battlefield when that saga goes to its third stage.
Believe there's one in the graveyard.
Oh, is there?
Yep.
Okay, you're right. There was one taken with duress early on in the game. So Wyatt says no. That's the best possible option here. Taking that Teferi, ticking it up, going to draw an extra card. Found a Thief of Sanity, always has it. I think we're going to see that deployed pretty quickly here. Going to take care of that Teferi. Andrew taking a scroll through the graveyard. Here's a Chemist's Insight. Going to be jump-started from the graveyard. 2 cards to Andrew's hand.
Again, Wyatt finds a good attack. 3 of the Max Brown soldiers on Teferi, just in case of a spot removal spell.
Strong position for Wyatt, but we're not done here. Here's a Notion Rain. Going to go ahead, surveil 2. Look for a good answer to this army that Wyatt's amassed. Obviously still many Wrath effects in the deck. We see it's a Fairy in Andrew's hand, unfortunately facing kind of an overwhelming board presence. He's got to go ahead and deploy anyway.
And Wyatt Darby representing lethal, so unfortunately Andrew has to minus the Teferi on Thief of Sanity.
Right, going to get a nice clean attack here, dealing with the Teferi as well as Andrew's life total, putting him down to a precarious spot. Plenty of cards in hand now for Wyatt Darby. Really, that Eldest Reborn kind of broke this game wide open. Here's a Karn generating more card advantage. We see 2 cards off the top. I'm surprised it wasn't just like 2 more thought. 2 more discard spells. Thought Erasures.
Might have to get the judges involved at that point.
Right. It's just, oops, all thought Erasures. Instead, he gets a land, has the Thief of Sanity tucked away for a future turn. Are there going to be future turns? That's up to Andrew Davis. Looks like we have our search for Escanta there. And we have a Kaya's Wrath.
So you get to reset the board and potentially work your search for Escanta, but Wyatt still has 2 Planeswalkers, including a Teferi, that could even just remove the search if he cared.
Right. We'll see what Wyatt can find on this turn. He can certainly put a Thief into play, minusing the Karn. Looks like a grip full of lands at this point for Wyatt. He's thinking about what exactly he wants to do with that Teferi. He's going to plus, found a negate. Important card here. Again, probably wishes he had it last turn.
Yeah, it's all right, though. I mean, spending all of his turns accruing some little value, and the negate means that he's incentivized to actually just Karn into the Thief of Sanity, and if he gets to get a hit in with that, I mean, he's looking at a bunch of cards between Thief, Karn, and Teferi. He's going to actually start pulling like monumentally ahead.
Right. Well, we see Andrew's catch-up mechanism is now on board. He's got a flip search for Escanta. Escanta, the Sunken Ruin, going to let him look at the top 4 cards of his library, try and find some outs to this very difficult situation. Here's a Vrask's Contempt on Teferi. See what Wyatt says. He does want to use the negate on that, keep the Teferi on the battlefield. And here's an activation of that Escanta, the Sunken Ruin. Finds a Moment of Craving. Okay. Okay, we dealt with Thief here. Still a tough board presence to deal with. There's the Moment of Craving on your upkeep. Another land off the top for Wyatt. He's going to have to go searching with Teferi and Karn, see what he can find. I think we found a hero, and I think we're going to get a Watery Grave from the Karn.
Yeah, you really don't have to do much of anything at this point. Just you're threatening Teferi Ultimate.
Right.
So
Andrew has to find the answer.
yeah, onus is definitely on Andrew to come up with something this turn.
Looks like he's using Escanta to go look for that answer. Does he find it?
More Thought Erasures.
Not what he's looking for right now, but it's what he's got. He's going to go ahead and cast it, I think. No, we have instead a jump-started Chemist's Insight. I don't think there's much that he can find here. Yeah, and in fact, he found 2 lands, casting the Thought Erasure, finding a handful of lands. Just wanted to get that one last Thought Erasure in there, keep up with the theme of this match. Passes back to Wyatt.
Ultimate.
Going for it. There's the Teferi Ultimate. Karn's going to plus. Finding Discovery Dispersal. Surveilling 2, putting a Max Brown into play. Drawing a card, exiling a permanent. Of course, taking care of that Escanta, the Sunken Ruin.
Surprisingly, Wyatt has 0 copies of Teferi in his 75.
Yeah, pretty incredible for an Esper mid-range deck, but Wyatt's just playing a different game here. He's not interested in Teferi. He's looking to get on board.
Do you think that he thought that he was going to make a Teferi emblem over the course of this weekend, though?
I mean, he knows he's got the Eldest Reborn in his deck. If you've played the Eldest Reborn...
One copy. Thief of Sanity, though. That's a good one.
Right. So Andrew finds a Kaya's Wrath here. Wyatt going to go ahead and spend a negate on that. Andrew says that's enough. Going to pick up his cards. That's going to do it. Wyatt, Darby.